Hi everyone. I have the very unique pleasure of answering a question that I didn't anticipate in my career. In a recent conversation with somebody, the person says, "So explain to me what would be the most strategic use of your skills? What exactly are you?" I look at your CV and there's quite a lot of it. What exactly are you? Most people, when they encounter me or my CV, will put me in a pigeonhole very quickly. That's because over the last 6 years in particular, I have dwelled on educational technology, effective use of technology. I've been a digital learning coach. I have been involved in formulating and executing a digital strategy, which has been incredibly successful in achieving two of the highest accolades there is for schools to achieve in terms of digital strategy. And so when people see my CVs, that is a natural one people jump to. But obviously, when you really dive deep into my career, you would see my experiences are quite varied. And so this person wanted to know what exactly would be the most strategic use for you. The most strategic description for me is a teaching and learning specialist. I am an instructional techniques specialist. I am a researcher who has looked into pedagogy, pedagogical partnerships, and eventually worked on achieving heutagogy. I am so in tune with the different types of learners and the best instructional techniques for them. I am one of the uniquely placed people to explain what you see in the research that most people gloss over and don't understand. But people say direct instruction is not, it doesn't have any value. But we have seen it affect particular, it depends on the particular kind of students you have. Students who are novices, students who have dependent personalities, very young students require direct instruction. People who are brand new to learning a particular thing require direct instruction. They need the decisions to be made by somebody else who is knowledgeable, because if you bring novices and you throw novices in and ask them to do things under their own direction, which schemas are they going to use? And it's going to be a disaster. Direct instruction. As people become more agentic, as people become more experienced, as they have schemas, it is worth drawing people into pedagogical partnerships, and that will suit learners on that framework. So we have a continuum with two extremes. And you get to the very extreme where students are very learner directed, they have all the capacities and dispositions to do things, and they can lead, and the teacher becomes a facilitator and the provider of resources. Not everybody can learn that way. And yeah, I have done a lot of research and now I understand that enough, which makes me, that I suppose that is the most strategic use for me, my skills and my experiences. Obviously, in the technicalities of instruction, the technology and the affordances that the technology brings to the table, which will facilitate and make the instructional decisions a little bit more efficient, is where most people will position me. The other thing, although, is that I am a triple specialist science teacher, so I have a breadth of awareness and subject knowledge within the sciences. I have been a STEM coordinator since 2009, so working across scaling students, disposition development as it is called now. When I was a STEM coordinator, they were called STEM skills. STEM skills, 21st century skills, whatever you want to call them. Since Lucas 2019, the name I prefer to call them is disposition development. There are some people who are predisposed to be able to learn because they've got certain dispositions. Those are integrated skills. Skills that are so well defined, so well integrated, it becomes intuitive and it influences how learners choose and behave. Disposition. So, disposition development is also another thing. And because of how my career has gone, learner agency and disposition development, making learners lifelong learners, and all these things are of interest to me. So, I am a teaching and learning specialist with a specific skill set on the strategic use of instructional techniques to advance learning and to enhance disposition development with the view to make learners lifelong learners and not just regurgitators of curriculum. Interesting, but I think I have finally answered that question. What can a school use you for? A school can use me for various things. I can be a strategic lead for teaching and learning. I can work with curriculum development, CPD development, teacher development, and management. I can look at school ed tech provisions as part of the teaching and learning decisions. I think that's probably the most strategic use for me. Being responsible for the development of teaching and learning to move teaching and learning from simple pedagogical instructional techniques to exploring the development of pedagogical partnerships and to skill students so well that they are able to do heutagogic learning, and then to be able to know the tools so well that teachers can choose the right tools which complement the instructional stance that they adopt for particular students, so that learners have all the things they need at their disposition to learn and to experience, and more importantly, move learners across the spectrum. So most people are still instructivists, pedagogy specialists. They determine all the things that students sit and watch, but that's actually a disservice to a lot of students. And if that's all you do, that's only the techniques you employ, you actually do maleficence to your students, because you do not develop the dispositions they would need to be able to survive and thrive in the workforce that we are preparing for, especially now with how transient and how variable the elements can be. The little things that can give others the competitive advantage over your students are the things you need to work very hard to limit. So we instruct to teach the curriculum, but we also look at the techniques we use to develop the whole student. This is a whole student learning focus. And yes, that has made me a specialist at student centered learning. But it's not lip service student centered learning. It is practical, tangible, student centered learning that looks at where the learner presents themselves at the beginning of the instructional sequence, and also explores what the endpoint should be for the whole person, not just regurgitating, but the whole person, their understanding, their thinking, their behaviors, their disposition development by the end of the sequence. I hope I've answered the question. Anyway, if any of you is interested in exploring any of these in dialogue, please do let me know. If you have any further questions, this is one I have made for the person whose question I am answering, but I've decided to share right here also, because I do want to document what I do and what I represent here accurately.